We're going to start off the video by talking a little about the Canadian real estate market. If you guys don't know Toronto, it's one of the most expensive places in North America and also around the world. Like if you want to get like a one-bedroom condo in downtown Toronto, you're about to be shelling out like $500,000 to like $650,000 USD to like get a pretty decent one-bedroom condo in Toronto. And prices are really expensive. And if you look at Toronto real estate, it's still cheaper than New York City, but people's salary in Canada isn't as high as people in like New York City or some of the American cities out there. So if you check out this post right here on Reddit, we got some pretty interesting stuff. A record $500 loss on a little townhouse in Toronto. Okay, I don't think 2024 will be any better. And if you look at some of the prices, it is sad. Now, this townhouse was probably built in 03, so almost 2 decades ago, or I guess it is 2 decades ago, so for $250,000, okay? And then about 19 years later, they sold it in 22 during interest rates when they were very low for $1.3 million. That was literally the peak. And then it recently got sold for $825,000. And the buyer of this townhouse in just a single year lost $500,000, about a 35 to 40% loss in a real estate transaction. This is one of the worst investments I have ever seen, and I don't really know why this guy decided to sell for such a massive loss. And a few theories came out, which is this guy probably over leveraged, didn't just buy one townhouse, probably bought several townhouses or several other properties, and they have to like pretty much sell some of these properties so they can't keep up with the mortgage and payments and stuff. Another one is loss of jobs, right? We know unemployment is going up, especially unemployment in terms of good jobs. It's so hard to find high-paying jobs these days, especially in Canada. And we're not going to be making fun of the Canadians all day, but we got to talk about the American real estate market because it's not just Toronto, guys. It's some of America's finest cities. We're seeing some of the most expensive buildings literally selling for pennies. If you look at 33 Montgomery Street, this isn't even that bad of a building. Like, the location's pretty great. I don't have any gripes with it, but come on, 50% off? That's like an absurd price. The neighborhood really isn't that bad, and look at the caliber of this building. This is a fine building, great bones, and looks like it was built in the past few decades. You also have a tenant on the first floor, which is like Bank of America, and look at this, right? You're in one of the best office districts in San Francisco, nice hotels, and even to this day, this area is still somewhat touristy. But this building is sold for pennies on a dollar, and it just shows you how bad the real estate situation is in the Bay Area. This is a 20-story tower. It's about to join the ranks of heavily discounted buildings. And there's two reasons why they sold this. One, they can't make the payments, and there's no tenants. And two, they're losing so much money on the building, and they had to sell it and prepare for the 2024 real estate bubble crash. Because many people are selling expensive buildings, very pricey buildings, for massive losses just for a few dollars, a few $1 million to put in their pockets just so they can make it by next year because company layoffs are crazy high right now. And this building currently is about 70% occupied, right? You still got Spotify, Bitly. So if it's 70% occupied, it's not great, but it's not bad enough for it to sell for 50% off. So it's kind of bad just to show you that property taxes in San Francisco is very high. Insurance is very high. Earthquake insurance is very high. Everything's just so expensive. In fact, a lot of landlords have said, despite selling these buildings for huge losses, after a few months of not owning these buildings, they actually saved a lot of money. Some landlords even offered dividends to their investors because they sold some of these buildings at huge losses. Can you imagine you actually saved more and even made more by selling a building for 50% off? Well, ask some of these landlords. 350 California Street sold for $250 million. You got other buildings selling for really cheap. Wells Fargo recently sold their building as well. And more banks are selling these buildings. And this is just a scary situation. It's not just San Francisco, guys. It's everywhere in the Bay Area. We're seeing a lot of these office loans at massive risk from Houston to Dallas to New York City. Some of America's biggest cities along the coast are all facing huge defaults. Nearly half of office loans now at the risk of default. And many are facing like 1 to 2 months of not paying their mortgages to the bank. And what's really bad about this is a new paper from 4 economists argue that 14% of the 2.7 trillion commercial real estate loan markets and 44% of office loans You know what? The loan balances are higher than the property values. That is pretty bad. And that's just encouraging these landlords to simply just default on the building. Because if your loan and debt is worth 2 to 3 times more than your building, what's the point of even paying it off? Just get the building back to the bank. That's what we're seeing. And that's why small regional banks are very scared for next year. And before you guys leave, definitely check out the private Discord server, guys. We have lots of really fantastic trades here. We trade live every single day. We actually win. And I actually follow these trades. It's super simple. We even have videos to help you guys, 24/7 hour supports. And guess what? These trades, like I said, they win. You know, green means buy, red means sell. And I gotta admit, some of these trades do make a boatload of money. So definitely check us out. You know, this is one of my favorite servers to hang around with. And it even explains everything. I mean, look at this. The easy Microsoft Scout recently. They made 26%. Nice and easy. Got some Zoom calls opening up. We got Hunt and DraftKings. Quick scouts as well. Lulu. We made a quick, beautiful scalp on Lululemon. Made it for 46%. So check it out. And plus, there's a 7-day free trial.